good to see so many men here. Let me just say a little disclaimer before I say anything. I am not perfect. I am a work in progress when it comes to fatherhood, being a husband, being around family atmosphere, yeah? I am a work in progress. People that don't know me, my son, Anton, was ganged up on in 2004. He was beaten up, stabbed in the heart, shot in the back, and thrown in the River Brent. The case is still ongoing. And all I know is that when I got the phone call at 2:30 in the morning to say this has happened, my whole body, my whole mind, everything just collapsed. And I didn't know what to do, where to go, what to say. So I put it upon myself to go down to Felton Prison and sit with these youths to find out why. Because as soon as somebody is murdered in your family or a disaster happened in your family, you always ask why. Why is this happening? In 2004, there was murders going on, but it weren't so big. And all I can say is I sat with these youth and I learned from them why they do what they do. I went from there, got involved in different campaigns, Don't Trigger, Mama, various other ones, Not Another Drop, did a few marches up myself. But what it is I ended up saying to myself, you have the youth on the street that have issues with getting together because one area don't agree with the other area. That's where a lot of this stuff is starting. And I would say, if we can get the police to get off their uniforms and mix with these guys and try somehow to create an activity that brings everybody in the postal code era, maybe a football match, and they challenge each other against each other. That's one way of dealing with the youth on the street. Remember I said, I don't know everything, I don't know all things, right? That's an idea. Then we come to the actual guy that committed the offense. The prison system is helping them to, believe it or not, to go commit their crime, get back on the street, and then they go and they're not being supported properly. And so they go back out again and do the same thing again. So it's a vicious circle that keeps going round and round and round. So I learned from them, a lot of the times they kept saying that they weren't properly supported when they were out on the streets. Ex-offender gets released. He then is just left to go out on the street and do what he wants, unless there is a group of people that get together and help them. There is some hostels where people, ex-offenders, get help. When I'm involved with ex-offenders. I've sat with offenders. I've also learned from these ex-offenders. A lot of the times they turn around and say, my family environment was messed up at a young age. Some of them were molested by their mum, their dad, and they kick off, and this is the way they express themselves, by committing crime and doing all kinds of stuff. So it ain't just that, there's other things, loads of different things. But what I learned from listening to all of them is the family environment. That, what you've been saying about the village, growing up the child and all that kind of stuff. That's the atmosphere that we need to go back to, because it was there one time. It was there, you could leave your door open, you could do all kinds of things, and nobody would trouble you. So with us going forward as a community, there was a time when David Cameron said, hug the hoodie, and everybody said, what's this guy on about? Remember, this is my interpretation. My interpretation is, you've got a gang over there. If a businessman or a worker would just take off his garms, maybe put on a hoodie, and go over to them and present something on the table and say, look, this is it. Here's an apprenticeship. You come over to my business and I will help you and support you. Yeah? That, you know, the youth in that group was sort of like saying, whoa, I could be earning this, I could be earning that. And maybe it will, you know, a child will come from that and benefit from it. My opinion is not to just jump in these groups and say, break up, break up, break up, stop what you're doing, stop what you're doing. My idea is just to go in the group and focus on bringing something to the group that will help them, guide them, and give them something else to think about. other than going home and picking up a 10-inch kitchen knife and bringing it out to stab someone. Yeah? I want to make it clear, majority of the youth are not doing this.
Right.
We are talking about this much of the youth that are doing it. But the atmosphere that these guys, these small amount of youth, the atmosphere that they're building. So a youth that's not involved in nothing, in his head straight away, I get a knife, I'll go and do this. Even though he's never done anything like that in his life. And that's what's happening. So it's good that we try and nip it in the bud and try and deal with these things. The way I look at life with the youth themselves are the only ones that are 100% going to stop this, if it ever gets to 100%. They need to stand up and call it what you want. Grass, snitch, I don't care. They need to stand up and say wrong is wrong. They need to stand up and say enough is enough. The youth will change all this. The adults will just guide them along. The leaders, the government, they will just guide them along. But it's the youth. They have to make a stand. Otherwise, you're going to find another generation of youth. Maybe twice as worse as the previous generation. Yes. So all you youth out there, stand up. You see something's wrong? Stand up. Yeah? If people want to see change, we have to change. You hear what I'm saying? If people want to see change, we have to change. We have to change. That's the only way things are going to change. And let's not leave it just to the government. Let's not just leave it to all these other politicians and everything. Let us, the community, make a stand. That's all I want to say.